Hey, what's up, everyone? It is Friday, May 1st. This is the BuzzStream Weekly Content Roundup. I'm your host, Vince Nero, and today I am joined by Senior PR Strategist at Manychat, Mady Lanni. How you doing, Mady?
Hey, I am good. I'm excited to be here. This should be fun.
Let's get into it. Here we go. I'm going to play it first, and then we'll kind of chat about it.
A girl hid an AirTag inside a piece of chicken and threw it out into the ocean. She immediately started tracking it on her phone. Soon, she noticed that the chicken piece started to move and the location kept updating on her screen. To her surprise, the chicken traveled 5,000 miles all the way to this 4-bedroom, 3-bathroom, single-family home located in Lake
So this is the bait and
Virginia.
switch, right?
Let's
This
check
is
it out.
like, I'm going to show you something that's like super kind of trendy, like the format is trendy, curiosity gap, and then boom, now it's just about a realtor. I feel like I've seen this and sent you a handful of these. Let me show you another one because I think this is like around the same type of thing that I'm seeing.
I know exactly what account this is. I love this account.
Apple good is debit. 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 Apple good is the best last keeping company in the world. Hire us.
Right. Something where you're taking what's going on, what's trending and like working it into like local media, local, realtor. I feel like you are the perfect person to talk about this with because, you're in the social space, you're in the PR space. Is this a new thing? This seems like a great trend.
I think it's something that's definitely come up. Like, I'm getting it all over my feed right now, too. What I think it is I'm thinking more and more people are seeing the power of social. And that's where they can drive a lot of audience and a lot of these connections and have a little bit of like this moment of virality. And so I think it's great to see even like smaller creators or, a landscaping company hopping on things that at one point, maybe 5 years ago, you only saw brands doing, but now it's like every creator is starting to do these things. And I just think it's so fun and it's so unique and just like a great way to connect. And everyone's like knows some of these memes. Another one too that I see that does a lot of like what the landscaping one does is Judy's Pancake House, I think is what it is.
I don't know this one.
I'll send you some of the videos after this, but she has like a pancake shop in like middle of nowhere, I think like Illinois or something. I could be getting that wrong, but she does the same thing where it's kind of this like bait and switch. And she's gone viral to the point now that some of these businesses are actually like exploding. She was able to renovate her business and start a product line and
Amazing.
just because she started
Yes.
those bait and switch like meme trends. And it's just like the power of social.
Yeah. This is amazing. Let's transition now into Manychat. You guys just won a Webby. Two Webbies, and we're nominated for a third, right?
Yes, we were.
Yeah.
So we won for our careers site, one for best employment site, which was amazing. And then we also just had we have an online publication that is attached to Manychat called Chronically Online Magazine. And this one won for best writing and editorial. And I think that's the one that's like such a major, I think it even points to what I was just saying, the power of social. So much is becoming social media and creator focused. When I looked back to like see who previously has won this category, and it was like BBC, New Yorker, like Variety, like all these like huge like industry leading publications. And this year it's us that won. And I think that just says a lot about like the creator economy and that people are finally recognizing that like being a creator or like doing things on social is real and it's not just like a fun side hobby anymore. And so like these stories matter.
Okay, so here's the other one, and this one, feels a little bit more along the lines of like what maybe a listener, like digital PR, team might produce as like an asset for a client or something or brand. So this was your big creator report. First of all, definitely shared this before on our newsletter, but I will put more links in our show notes for this edition. But algorithm fatigue, you guys did this like amazingly designed, it's kind of just like a state of or like a trend report, right?
Yeah.
But just scrolling through this, you can see the amount of care and like this vibes. This thing is dripping with vibes. I love it. I think stuff like this, the design alone is enough to make you share it. which I think is something like people overlook sometimes, where it's just like investing in the design and the development of this stuff can sometimes be all it takes to put these things over the edge. I mean, obviously you want compelling content and great data behind it, but like that can be a multiplier. But yeah, tell me a little bit about how this came about.
So this actually came about, so I started back in Manychat about a year ago and nothing like this existed here. And I was like, we need to do more data. I love data reports. It's my background. And so had this idea of doing this, like, you know what, let's just start it by doing like an end of year trends report. There's not really one for the creator economy. We can kind of get ahead of it. And then worked with the lovely team here, and our design team killed it. And so, actually, if you ever look at it on mobile, it feels like you're just like scrolling through, like you're swiping through. And so, it feels
Nice.
so mobile native.
Mady, real quick, like maybe it's helpful to just tell people what Manychat is and like who that core audience is too.
Yeah. So, in a nutshell, if you are on social and you see in the caption of any sort of like creator that says like comment dress and I'll send you the link, or comment like recipe and I'll send you the recipe, that's actually an automation that is being used whenever people actually comment that word and then sending you that DM with that link or that ebook or whatever that is. And that is powered by Manychat. So we are a social media automation platform. We are Meta business partners. So we work really closely with the team at Meta to making sure that like your accounts aren't going to get banned by doing this or anything. Like we're compliant with all of that. So our core like audience that we try to reach with this is content creators, people who are trying to scale their business of being a creator and taking social media and being able to turn that into like actual income and monetizing all of their content and all of that. We already are thinking about the one that we're going to do at the end of this year. So
Nice.
stay tuned.
Yeah. Awesome. Good. Great tease. All right, let's get into another one here. So
Mhm.
these are the five that I shared in our content newsletter, or our weekly newsletter, in the content roundup section. So not as sexy looking for sure, but this is kind of maybe similar vibes where it is a collection of data. Clearly like a very different collection of data. Like I said, not as sexy, and a different presentation. But
Yeah.
the thing that I like about this is it comes from Here and There, which is a publication, and which I'll pop up here as well so people can see. So this is a publication written by, oh geez, I had it, Kyle Post, I believe is the last name, but all about outdoors, travel, that sort of thing. So he was looking to do something around national parks, and he was like, man, this data doesn't exist anywhere. It's a pain in the butt to find. And so he put it all together in this great little hub, and that you can just kind of go through and easily see, who all visited Acadia National Park every hour, every day. And all this stuff comes from government sites.
Mm.
But I think this solves a problem that a lot of digital PR people are probably, or PR content creators run into, which is like government data just sucks to find and look at, especially now as like the budget cuts and all this crazy stuff that's happening. But like in general, it's not easy to get through.
Yeah, and I mean, on the government data side, I mean, I think it's never been easy to find. I've done a lot of campaigns in the past using like scraping BLS data and all of that, and it's like such a pain. This is like such a good like story. If you could use this data to then create another campaign around like maybe the perfect road trip to hit national parks this summer or something that aren't going to be super crowded, or there's so many other
Hmm.
angles that you can take out of this, I think. And I love the use of non-survey data as well. I feel like surveys, they're the easiest data to get, but when you can get something that has a little bit more of that legitimacy because it is coming from like a government agency or you're like aggregating that data, it just adds a different layer of value to it.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's transition to this next one here. This is ThredUp. So ThredUp is like an e-com.
Yeah, so I've actually used ThredUp quite a bit. So you can, it's kind of like an online thrift store, but you can also like they'll send you a bag too, and so you can also like send your clothes there for consignment. And then if it sells, you actually kind of like make a little bit of money off of that. So I have done both. So very familiar with who ThredUp is.
Yeah, so they did, and the reason I share this was because we saw one from, it was Etsy. I'm sorry, that's who it was, and it was like, if you can, share trend data, like your own proprietary data, obviously that's great, right? But like also being able to do this year over year, just
Hmm.
like has compounding effects that like you're gonna get more coverage, you're gonna get more stories and angles where you can talk about like this increased year over year and that sort of thing. But you can see like I thought they did a great job visualizing this. It's super on brand for them. But it gets into, secondhand market stuff, but then also like prices and, how people are discovering these things. And so I thought it was really great idea and just kind of wanted to drive home that idea of like proprietary data. Let me get to the next one here.
This has been shared in our company Slack channels.
Okay, awesome. So essentially what this is you can ask questions, right, like an AI, but you can also answer other people's questions like an AI. And there's this whole like credit system where like, you have 60 seconds to do it and you get put on a wait list. Like there's a lot of people using this.
Yeah.
It's like this weird thing. I said this in the newsletter where it's like, I feel too old for this because I don't quite get it. But then also like this hits that exact nostalgic of like using AOL, like instant messenger. It's like I grew up using because you can chat with people. And I know this is like social commentary and whatnot, but yeah, he said, it got over 35 million page views or something. And it was created by some 17-year-old. But yeah, tell me your thoughts. It sounds like you've had some time with this too.
Yeah. So I've actually we've played around with this just like purely for fun because we came across it as well. But I think this is actually kind of attaching to a bigger conversation that's been happening, and especially on social. I see it a lot of AI. Like we're in this weird place right now where AI is unavoidable now, but at the same time, so many people don't necessarily want to rely on AI. And so we're in this weird time frame where it's like, how much should we lean into AI? Like what should we use AI for? And I feel like this is almost kind of a direct representation of human conversation and human connection still matters. And I'm seeing even younger generations and Gen Zers that are kind of getting this a little bit more maybe than the people who are maybe really in the thick of getting pounded by AI from their work, from just the amount of ads that we're getting from Claude, from all the news headlines that we're seeing. Whereas a lot of maybe the younger generations are still kind of craving that human connection, especially. It makes me actually curious to know is there actually a bigger story there, a bigger reason? Is it because the younger generation has quite literally been raised fully on some of this technology? I don't know. There could be a campaign there for the right person and the right brand.
Yeah, I get what is it, brick on it, those screen blockers.
I get ads for that all the time, and sometimes I'm tempted to be I wonder if that actually works. But there's I think there's also that side of what's happening right now, the fact that something like brick even exists right now
Or
because
digital detox kind of thing.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. So Parade Magazine shared this study, new data specifically from a site called Sixt. I don't know. But it's like a luxury car rental site. And this one, Sixt Plus, is actually like a rental, like a monthly rental. Like it changes, it'll send you a new car every month. It was pretty wild. But anyway, the reason I'm calling this out is what they've done is just taken this trend. They're calling it the Euro summer. There's no study necessarily behind it that they're linking to. So I couldn't find they talk about the cities that won. The city, Chicago is the London of the US, number one, they get into some of these other ones in the bucket list. There's no link to it, which I always think is a missed opportunity. But I love this idea of here's this trend we're going to kind of try to coin or potentially lean into. I mean, Euro summer does exist. If you look up Google Trends, it was peaking last year in June, and it's somewhat going up now. I mean, in the post, you can kind of see that. They use Google searches skyrocket by 133% in the last year. So they're either coming up with this trend themselves or they're capitalizing on this trend, and I just like that as a simple hook. I mean, it's not going to work for everybody, and it's got to be, but it hits that timely angle, I think, that every journalist needs these days.
Yeah, no, I love this. This was always one of those ones that I'm actually it's good. It's kind of nice to see Google Trends coming a little bit back around. There for a minute, I feel like they weren't working anymore. So I think that that's kind of just that alone is interesting to see. But this idea of kind of creating trends is another way I think to just break in now, because I think everything is so trends based.
What was your take on the fact that they don't link to? 'Cause this is, I think, the third week in a row where I'm kind of calling out some of these where I think it's a missed opportunity. But what's your take on that? Like, why aren't they linking to a blog post, say, that exists on Sixt?
I do agree that it's probably a missed opportunity. I am curious to know if there's AI search reasons behind this for them, because at least
Oh,
something that I've
interesting.
realized is you can be cited in AI search without having any links or blog posts around it if you just get these kind of mentions. So I'm curious to know if maybe there's like an AI search reason behind it for them.
Wrong. They're linking back to the homepage, but I always just think like you can control it a little bit more and it gets out there a little bit more, right?
And it's also so much easier, like just as like the PR side of it, like it's so much easier to track if you have a link. Like,
Yeah. All right. Last one, Maddie. This is going to be from the team at Search Pilot. So this is potentially the nerdiest thing I've ever seen coming out of the SEO community, but it is basically a collection of resources that they decided to turn into an interactive game. So there's a couple little prompts, and then you can kind of walk through instead of like clicking and scrolling through a page. You can kind of go through these little modules and like choose. Let's see if I hit explore. There's tools that they have. You can walk your little guy through and see some stats. But you can also see some like, oh, what does Brody Clark say about AI discoverability stuff? So it's just
so
the
unique.
way that Will Critchlow said it, it was like, let's just figure out like a creative way to do this that, hasn't been done before. And I think they hit the nail
Yeah,
on the
no, this
head with
is
this.
so creative.
I have written about this a little bit, but like we did our little inbox hero video game, like pixel art video game, that my thought behind this is just there are so many more opportunities now to create creative content like this. And the bar is like way lower because of AI. At the same time, there's a lot more people doing stuff like this. So it is this like weird race, right? Of like, you do need to probably invest more. Like you saw in Manychat, like your creator report is awesome. Like the amount of dev time and design time. I mean, that pays off. You get nominated for a Webby, right? Whereas, something like I created on Claude is probably not going to get nominated for a Webby, but
But I think that, like, exactly what you're saying, like, there's this like, craving for more creativity, I think, from both sides of it. Brands are realizing that, like, in order to kinda get this, like, earned attention almost, like, is having these creative moments. But then, like, there's also, like, the balance of, like, when and where to invest in that. And so I think also right now too we're gonna see more and more of this as vibe coding is getting more
Mhm.
popular. And so I feel like a lot of people are gonna start figuring out ways to incorporate, like, vibe coding into PR reports. It's already happening.
For sure.
So I'm curious to see how, are we going to reach a limit where things are getting too creative and taking away from the data? That's going to happen.
Yeah, that's a great
So
point.
we'll
Not to
see.
get too downer, but yeah, I think that is definitely a potential risk of this type of thing. But hey,
Hey, let's have fun with it while we can, right?
yeah, that's right. Maddie, this has been great. Thank you so much for joining. I know this is like a rapid fire thing, but we just got through 7 pieces of content. So again, congrats on the Webbies.
Thank you.
People can find all the stuff that I shared today in our show notes, but also in the BuzzStream newsletter where I share a little content roundup at the end section. You can reach out to Mady, find her on LinkedIn. You can also go to manychat.com and check out all their great stuff. And that's all we got for this week. Thanks again, Mady.
Yeah, thanks so much. This was fun.
All right. Take care, everyone. See you next week.